All right, let's get some more of this thing done. If you've been living right, you've put your floors in, and if I actually get the videos in the right order, and you've made some pretty little fillets here, and I showed you how we do all that. We haven't made them here yet because we're going to reinforce this eventually, but this is a reinforced floor, as is this, and we're going to deal with this a little bit more later when we set our motor and do a little cutout here if you're doing a nitro motor so that your belt can get on and off of the rear flywheel. And now let's get serious about putting this thing together. I'm not going to do a bunch of epoxy in this video, okay? So you don't have to watch me stir and you don't have to watch me brush epoxy on. I'm just going to show you how we're going to put this together, and then you can go do it. We're going to assemble the drop and our sponson onto here in one fell swoop, primarily because this does a really nice job of holding the transom square, okay, at least in the fore aft direction. So get everything ready. One thing you're also going to do, by the way, this outer piece, we're not putting this on right now. We'll put this on later. You see I've marked it out. You're going to put a piece of 1/8 stick along here, and I'm going to let it overhang, and then afterwards we'll cut it, trim that on real nice, and we're going to have you lay a piece on here. Let me think. Yeah, down to the bottom, overlaps here. Either way, you can go the other way. I don't care. Just run it to the bottom, right up to this edge here. This is going to give us a little bit more attachment when we do put this piece on. I'm not going to add 1/8 reinforcement down here where this sits on here, primarily because I have, well, how do I explain this in a way that is easy to understand? Trust me, we don't need it there. We need it up here. Oh, I'll try to talk about that later. All right, so we need to support this guy top and bottom here because it will be easy to pop free. There's nothing else supporting it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. When we're on here, this piece, if it were overlapped this way, it could pop free easily. But since this one sits on top, we don't need that extra reinforcement there. We do need it here where we can blow this free easily. Okay, I guess that's my explanation why we're putting it along here. That's to give us plenty of material to stick the deck to. But down here, no big deal. Just need to make sure it attaches well here so that somebody doesn't grab it, so that you don't grab it and pop that free and break the bond. All right, so you're going to attach this along here. Here's a little trick. When you're putting this on, let it extend beyond, I'm going to exaggerate here, let it extend beyond the material. This is because the deck actually comes down at an angle, right? So if you've laid this directly on the material, and it's not that big a deal, and I'm going to exaggerate again, see if I can kind of show you this, have no idea if it's in the frame. When the deck comes down, you will have clearance there. Not a real big deal, you could pile a bunch of epoxy there, but if you let it overhang, and then we'll just sand this at an angle, just real lightly, real quick afterwards, you'll actually wind up with a surface, a larger contact area, okay, direct contact area that you're not filling in with epoxy. Doesn't matter either way, it's just one of them nitpicky things that I suffer with. So do that. That goes on there. This goes on here. When you stick a bazillion binder clips on here to hold this angle, don't just toss this somewhere. Set it down in an area where you can hold it nice and flat so that it remains nice and flat. It's amazing how that works together. Find some way to do that, okay? All right, so attaching this, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this piece in first. So that means we're going to push some epoxy up underneath here. This brush has wet epoxy on it. Anyway, we're going to push some up under there just to make sure that we have the bottom of this material wet, as well as the edge of the floor. So you're going to get kind of serious under here. You're going to sit here and push away at it and let it ooze out, and there's going to be some extra. Maybe wipe it off, you know, the part that comes out here. Don't care. Do the same thing under here. Be wary of the fact that the floor sweeps up and away, so it's not sticking down all the way forward to this area. So actually part of this is going to be somewhat hanging out in the breeze. You'll see when we flip it over, it will make sense as to why that is the case. So you don't have to get super crazy under here, but do what you can, especially along here and part of the way up here. Get underneath on yours and take a look, and you'll see as that floor kind of disappears up here, because remember, it's beginning to curve up starting here. So it does go away at some point in this neighborhood here. So, all right, we've pushed a bunch of epoxy under there. We run a whole bunch of epoxy on here, and especially along here. Don't forget that, because remember, that's where that's butting up against there. There's Jackson Brown giving me the let me in and give me food signal. Come on in, buddy. I'm busy, can't talk right now, gotta hurry, don't have a whole lot of room on the GoPro card. Okay, so we've done that. We've applied it here. Apply on this edge, both sides of the tab. Shove this guy into place. Epoxy here and here, both sides of the tab. Go ahead and get a little bit carried away, it's fine. Maybe even a little bit of thickened epoxy here. I've already scraped, hey, no. I've already scraped away and sanded a little bit, you know, where there was a bunch of excess epoxy that oozed out of here when I laminated these together. I've done that up here, all the way around, make sure it's all what I want it to be. Epoxy all over the place here, on this area where it's gonna meet, in that gap there, on here. No reason to do it up high, right? We're going to lay in a strip later. No reason to do it down here. That goes in later. We've got epoxy everywhere now. You've shoved some in here because you're going to let it ooze out of there. We're going to fill that pretty good. You're going to come in and install this guy, and that's going to attach just like that. This works really nice. I'm a big rubber band fan. Rubber band man. All right, we're going to put that on there. Kind of holds itself into place. And we think, there, we're done, right? No, I don't really know if it's square yet. And we're going to keep dealing with that over time, but I'm going to check right now just to make sure that we're kind of sort of close. I'll tuck in here. Say, yep, it's pretty doggone close. I'm reasonably happy with that. How am I doing here? Okay, that's good. I have checked mine beforehand, and you should too, so that you know when you go to epoxy it up, and the lines that you have made, which I can see you might not be able to, those are straight and square. We're still going to check it some more here in a minute. Okay, epoxy along here, up here. This guy is going on now. Cut a 1/8 notch here now, because remember that's going to hit here when this goes there. If you forget to, no big deal. Don't make it big enough, no big deal. We'll trim that later. All right? See how this is sticking up? Got to deal with that. First of all, if you built these, did a nice job. If everything fits well, it should hold it, which this does. You don't want it, you know, under massive tension. Here's the other piece. This guy goes in here. The same is true back here, and it does fit nicely. However, we've got our 1, 2, 3 blocks. We're going to make sure that all of this should weight this corner here too. In fact, I'll do it on that block. There will be epoxy here, and it'll stick, and I'll just pull a little bit and it'll pop free. Okay, that's it. That's all you got to do to assemble this thing. But now, remember, we're going to make sure this guy is really good and square, because we've done all this now, by the way, and you've got epoxy sticking out everywhere. So go through and make your pretty little fillets that nobody will ever see, but that you will feel good about, and it will get rid of excess epoxy that doesn't need to be there. I probably showed the wrong tool here. Use one with a larger radius. Thicken some epoxy afterwards. We're using pretty raw epoxy here, like I talked about, maybe thickened behind here, a little bit thickened. Thicken some up so that it'll stay in these vertical joints here, all right? And go ahead and get pretty carried away here. put a pretty good heavy one here. I have been known in the past to lay a little bit of fiberglass in here, which you can do if you want. This particular boat, where it has this drop, this helps hold it all together. Remember, your turn fin's out here trying to rip the side of the boat off. This helps hold it all together. You know, other boats don't have a drop, don't have a deck here, don't have a top and bottom deck helping to hold the sponson transom on. And so I feel a little bit better if I lay some fiberglass on the inside of the sponson portion right here on that style of boat. This one's not super critical. So anyway, we've made our big, nice, pretty fillets here, and we feel great about that. And we don't want to shove this into that goop now, right? But we checked beforehand, and we find this to be very trustworthy to keep it square. Okay, good. What about this? Got to check. However you do, I don't care how you do it. I just have this block here that I have checked. I know is square. I trust it. I lay it here. I'm going to come in, and I see it's not square. You might not be able to see that. I'm just going to push on it ever so lightly. Ooh, it just popped right into place. So pretty. This is really my last move right here before I walk away. It's square there. I'm looking here. It's fully attached there. Time to go in for supper. Leave it alone. You can do the other one if you want, but you're going to be wiggling and pushing, and stuff can move, man. I don't do it. I'm slow. I know. Be patient. I'm trying. I told you at the start this is going to take some time. There we go. Pretty fillets. Pretty heavy fillets around the Sponson transom. Time for supper, huh, buddy? Yeah. Okay. Not too talkative today. All right. See you guys later. Bye.